very pokey. It's like a corncob holder. These are all little gadgets Piper Dave 2023 gifted me a few years back, along with a box of cigars. There's also a little pair of cigar cutters that I have in my other bag. They're not in here, but anyway, I would smoke this Mark Twain cigar tonight. I mainly bought these because I love the artwork on the box, and my tastes aren't all that discriminating, so I didn't think it'd make a big deal of difference. I've got a lot of really nice cigars that I haven't even tried yet. Kyle, the pipe professor, sent me a handful of really nice cigars, and then Mark Welsh Piper also sent me a ton of cigars a couple of years ago, and some of those I'm saving until I develop my palate. Piper Dave gave me a whole box of Charter Oaks, Connecticut leaf, is that correct? Anyway, and I've kind of smoked through those. Those are very good, but anyway, I'm afraid to, I want to save off on the better cigars until I know what I'm doing. So right now, I will get this cigar going. Let's see. I'm sure. Yeah, we'll just use this to put I forget what's even called, this type of cut of my cigar. So, without further ado, let's snip this off. Alright, so a V cut there. Get this lit. I love this lighter. This is awesome. That's all there is to it, I guess. I smoked my pipe a little too much today, so I'm kind of burnt the inside of the roof of my mouth. So I'm smoking a cigar tonight. Too many pipes today. My wife went back to work for training, and yeah, I had more time than normal, so I did a little more smoking of my pipes than I thought. I like it. Makes me want to read Huck Finn or Tom Sawyer while I'm smoking this, since it's a Mark Twain cigar. I might do that after we talk for a few minutes. It is Wednesday afternoon, August 5th. It is actually evening, technically. It's 5:40 p.m. Probably close to 90 degrees out here. I think we're up to 108 today, so it's been a very warm day, as it is in the Central Valley of California through the months of June through about October. Oh, be right back. I've got to text my wife. I need to go in the house and check something, so I will return momentarily. I'm back. Time to relight though. I was in the house for about 20 minutes. My wife sent me a text and said the washing machine's not coming on, so I thought, oh no. Then I remember we had a guy come out last night, and he cleaned the vent on our dryer and cleaned off our solar panels, and I guess he inadvertently left the washing machine unplugged, so luckily it was an easy fix. That could have been a disaster though, and it stopped working, but luckily it's relatively new and is working. Got a text from my daughter Emily. She started a new position this year. She taught kindergarten, first grade, and I think second grade for about 6 years. Then she resigned to stay home with her kids. She has a boy, Ansel, who's 5, almost 6, and a daughter, Mabel, who I think is 3. I'd have to look to make sure, but anyway. But this year, she got a job that she could teach from home. Basically, it's paid for. It's not a charter school. It's like a resource type thing. Anyway, that's a school. She's a teacher, but she has to do online class sessions. So, but she gets to stay home with her kids. So anyway, but this weekend they had a retreat for the staff at the school, because they don't really see each other. I mean, it's all online, so the teachers and staff really don't meet each other, but they want to get them all together, so she drove a few hours over to the Central Coast to Arroyo Grande, which is pretty close to Cambria, where we go every summer. But she went by herself because her husband he has a photography business, a real estate photography business, and I guess he didn't think it was a good idea to go, so he's at home with the kids. But anyway, she go over there and she doesn't know anyone. She feels really lonely, so she just sent a text to her mother and I and said that she's really sad and homesick. And all the other families, I guess, all the other teachers have their families with them. She had no idea that she could bring her husband and kids, so what could have been a nice family trip, it's just her, so she's kind of sad. She sends a text, and anyway, so we're trying to tell her. Hopefully the time will go by quickly. She gets to go home tomorrow afternoon, so luckily she'll see them. But it reminds me of the time when she was a little girl and went to church camp, and she got super homesick, and she had a hard time with that, so it just kind of reminded me of that. Poor Emily. She's a homebody for sure. Doesn't enjoy being away from her family and kids, her husband and kids at all. I'm really liking this cigar. Like I said, I couldn't smoke any more pipes today because I somehow over-smoked and burnt the roof of my mouth. It's just me. I smoked too hard, too aggressively. Plus, I got some new tobacco today. I got a couple of tins of Hal of the Wind. I just found out that's the way you say that by watching another video. Anyway, it was good. I had a bowl of that. Before that, I had many other bowls of many other different types of tobaccos. I ordered some of the new Sun Bear bourbon cask. Is it bourbon cask? Anyway, whatever the newest iteration is of that tobacco. I said I was never going to do that again, chasing this, small batches or limited releases, but I just got a couple tins yesterday, so hoping I like it. Hoping I can tell the difference between that and other things I have. I mean, I can tell the difference. Like this morning, I had some Orlik Golden Sliced after watching London Calling with Simon. He prefers that blend, and I could obviously tell the difference between that and On a Bookshop, things like that. So, but, can I tell a real difference to make it worth spending more money on other tobaccos? And I've got about a ton of 2-ounce jars. I don't know. Just thinking today about Northwoods, Maine piper, Jason. I'm not sure if that's his channel name or not, but anyway, Jason. He likes to read stories to us, and I was thinking about his playlists he was getting together for fall reading and his holiday reading. So I actually got a couple of the books that he mentioned for the fall and Halloween type stories, and I'm really looking for that. So I'm missing his videos, and hopefully he's doing okay. I sent him a note a few weeks ago, and he was doing some traveling to see family. I know his school year is going to be starting here soon as well. So hopefully he's feeling better, and we'll start making videos again. As I mentioned earlier, my wife had her first day of, it's called the buyback day. She gets paid for going to training, so she didn't really want to go, but it's kind of hard to turn down money when you just have to sit there and listen. It's pretty good. Pay is pretty good, per hour. Of course, they shorted them. They stole an hour from them because one of their speakers didn't show up, so they just let them leave early for lunch, which is kind of a rip-off because you make plans to go for the full day, and then something doesn't work out and you get penalized for it. But anyway, at least she got a nice long lunch hour. She'll be going again tomorrow for the same type of thing. Well, tomorrow will be workshops led by different teachers, I guess. So she signed up for a full day of those. And then Friday, they have a meeting in the main auditorium Standard Elementary, and the auditorium they have on the grounds, it's been there forever. I think they built it in the 20s. It was like the place in Oildale for all the people to gather. They had community meetings and everything there, but it's like an Art Deco styled auditorium. They've redone it outside somewhat, and I guess the inside too, but the inside seat is like theater seating, well, old school theater seating. The chairs go down, you sit on their cushion, but they're very old. They're very small because people back in the 30s were apparently smaller than the current generation of folks since the 60s and 70s, I guess, and up to current times. I used to love going in there when I was in elementary school because on Fridays they would show us these Disney nature movies, like wildlife photography and videos. But that place was so awesome because it looked just like you're going into an old theater. And I remember associating that with scary movies because for whatever reason it looked like it looked kind of spooky as a kid, All these seats, they had like a red velvet seats back then, and the stage curtain was this big dark red heavy curtain that they still have, I think. And anyway, in the back they've got all these pulleys and levers and all that. I always thought that was really intriguing as a kid. I always wanted to take a tour of that place, but never got to. I guess I should have signed up for drama class, but I was never into drama. That's where the drama kids used to hang out. I had an uncle that worked there, Mr. Swisher. My mom's brother, Joel, he just passed away. He was 90 years old earlier this year, but he worked there as a history teacher for decades, and probably 40 years, I guess. And he had a key that he could get in there. I should have asked him to let me go in. I used to sub there when I first started teaching in the early 90s. I should have asked him then if he could show me the back, but I don't know. I never did it, never thought about it. He would have been glad to show me, I'm sure. So I did an exciting thing. I ordered 4 milk bottles, or glass bottles from Amazon. There's something about jars and bottles that I really enjoy. So I was watching one of Ron Dickey Lab's videos a couple weeks ago, and he talked about if you buy a gallon jug of milk, how it lasts longer if you break it up into those 4 bottles and then you only use one at a time, which makes sense because the more you open up milk, the more bacteria can get in, the more air it lets in. Anyway, it just doesn't last quite as long. So my wife and I, we buy a gallon of milk, and it may last us for a couple weeks. Sometimes it goes bad. We don't drink a lot of milk. I mean, I love milk, but cold cereal is something we try not to eat that much because it's not the best thing for us. So we get milk and it lasts a long time. So I'm hoping by getting these glass jars or 32-ounce bottles, like milk bottles, that'll help it last longer. Even if it doesn't, it's just kind of a cool concept. Like the old days when they had milk in glass bottles, but Mom used to talk about how the cream would rise to the top, and as a kid, they'd open the top so they could get the cream off the top. I always thought that was wonderful, but that was before my time. Closest I ever got to that was when I worked at a Gary construction company during high school, and I've told this story, but there's a big stainless steel milk cooler. I guess they would pasteurize the milk and then put it in this big cooler to cool it all down rapidly. But that is like a little spigot at the very bottom of this thing, and if you turned it, lo and behold, milk came out. So me and my friend who worked there would sometimes treat ourselves to a nice cold glass of milk there. And nothing tastes as good as that milk. And it was ice cold in that big stainless steel tank. And man, I don't know if I ever did it, but I was always tempted to take my coffee thermos after all the coffee was gone and rinse it out and fill it up with that cold milk, but that'd be a little too much like stealing, I guess. So I never did it. At least I don't think I did it, although it's been a long time ago. 45 years ago probably, and I don't remember. In my dreams, I did it though. I filled that thermos up with ice cold milk and had some nice milk to drink when I got home. I've always been intrigued by dairy farms, cows, milk. I don't know why, but when I was a kid, my grandmother had a Compton's Encyclopedia set, probably from the early 50s. And when I was looking at it, it was probably the late 60s, maybe very early 70s. But I remember looking up different types of dairy cows, and most of the encyclopedia was in black and white. But that section and select other parts were in color. So you could look at all these cows and all the different patterns, and they would tell you the name of the cows and the characteristics of the cows and what they were best for. And I just had a great time reading that book. And we had a dairy, and the dairy had all kinds of neat contraptions and lots of stainless steel. I mean, who doesn't love a big building full of stainless steel things? Man. Unfortunately, when I worked at the dairy, we didn't get inside often. We usually were working outside. I was just a laborer, so a lot of my time involved carrying heavy things from one side of the barn to of the pasture to the other, and breaking up concrete and hauling that, chunks of concrete, putting them in a skip loader, or I had a big grinder that I would be, I was grinding down these wells to make them smooth. That was a tough job. The boss, Doug Chepkema, his whole family went to my church. He was the nicest guy, joking around in church all the time, very jovial, always laughing. On the job, he was quite a bit different. He would still joke, but he'd also get frustrated. And when he was there, if he didn't hear that grinder going, he'd yell my name. And I knew that I needed to keep that thing going. So, and it was really heavy. It had a big stone grinder on it. I mean, the grinder itself was pretty heavy, and then the big stone thing was super heavy. So, that wasn't fun. After that, I got quite a ash to that cigar. Probably going to fall off of my keyboard or my laptop computer. It's not my intention to keep you too long, but I'm enjoying this cigar. I'm enjoying talking. Totally just random things that rattle around in my brain until it just comes out. Mark Twain Riverboat. It has been my rule never to smoke when sleeping, and never to refrain from smoking when awake. That's awesome. I like that. I'll have to put that down someplace. That's cool. I didn't know it was on there until I saw the writing. Very difficult to read from my 63-year-old eyes, but I made it out. Well, nothing else is coming into my mind to speak of, so perhaps I will say goodnight for right now. It is now 6:10 p.m. and I guess I'll finish this cigar and eventually head in, take a shower, eat dinner, and all that sort of thing. So hope you guys have enjoyed this. I appreciate you hanging out, and God bless y'all, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.